A report states that Andy Robertson deal is not dead in the water yet, but Liverpool need to recall a player first for that deal to stand any chance of getting done. Spurs eye a new goalkeeper as a possible Vicario replacement, with the player mentioned being one of the best goalkeepers in Europe. And a football finance expert gives his thoughts on how much it would cost Spurs to sack Thomas Frank. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines, where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already as yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And finally, make sure you turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever we go live or upload a video to the channel. Okay, let's get into it. The Standard report that Tottenham have been handed new hope in their pursuit of Andy Robertson, despite Liverpool putting the defender's move on hold. Spurs last week launched a surprise move for the veteran fullback as under-pressure boss Thomas Frank looked to add more experience to his struggling squad. Robertson is out of contract in the summer, and Spurs were in line to make a move for the 31-year-old in the summer, but brought their interest forward and talks were advancing quickly. However, it was reported on Sunday that Liverpool were ready to pull the plug, despite there being an agreement in principle for Robertson to join Spurs following Wednesday's final league phase games in the Champions League. Widespread reports claimed that Liverpool struggled to recall Kostas Tsimikas from his Roma loan was the key in their reluctance to let Robertson leave. The main sticking point has been Roma's own problems in securing a replacement for Tsimikas in the final days of the January transfer window. But in welcome news at Spurs, Roma Director of Football Frederic Massara has confirmed that his side remain in talks with Liverpool over sending Tsimikas back to Anfield, and confirmed interest in Yannick Carrasco as his replacement. They are all situations that are evolving. We are in dialogue with Liverpool and we'll see how that evolves over the next few days, Massara told reporters on Sunday evening. Carrasco is a talented player, but in January it is never easy to do deals. We have a week left to see if there are any solutions that can truly strengthen the squad, which is already competitive. Sport Witness via Give Me Sport report that Tottenham were in the race to land Mile Svilar from mid-January, with the current goalkeeper Guillermo Vicario being of interest to various Serie A clubs who could join in the summer. Svilar has been among the best goalkeepers in Europe, that led Roma to wanting £60 million for the Belgian-born star if he was allowed to depart in the January window. Chelsea and Bournemouth are thought to be keen, as well as Bundesliga giants Bayern Munich, and it would be no surprise to see his interest rise across Europe given his recent statistics. Any move for Svilar would see him become the third most expensive goalkeeper in football history, behind Liverpool stopper Alisson Becker and Chelsea's Kepa Arrizabalaga, who has since joined Arsenal, and there would be vast pressure on him to succeed in the top flight, with Tottenham having struggled defensively in recent months. Vicario has been a decent shot stopper for Tottenham, though when you look at the other goalkeepers in the Premier League, he is not in that bracket. David Raya, Gianluigi Donnarumma, Alisson Becker and Emiliano Martinez have all been superb stalwarts across Europe for the past few years, and Vicario is in the tier below them. Every statistic on Svilar points to him joining the quartet in the world-class category, having already made 114 appearances for Roma and a further 23 for Benfica during his career, becoming their first choice over the past two seasons and mounting an unlikely title charge. And Team Talk report that Thomas Frank had been given more time to turn around Tottenham's disastrous Premier League form despite growing fears they could get sucked into the relegation battle, and amid reports that a big-name manager is keen to take over mid-season. The North London side are one game away from reaching the Champions League knockouts phase, and positive result this week away to Eintracht Frankfurt can book their place in the last 32 of that competition. However, it has been a thoroughly different story in the Premier League, of course, and Saturday's 2-2 draw at Burnley, a point salvaged by a very late Christian Romero header, leaves Tottenham 14th in the table. Off the back of a dismal run of form that has seen them go winless now in 5 league games, the pressure has hugely built up on Frank amid growing claims he could soon be sacked by Spurs. Indeed, that stance has been echoed by Football Insider, who insists Spurs chiefs Enoch are still backing their manager. Football finance expert Dr. Dan Plumley has said it would cost Spurs around £8 million to remove the Dane from his job, with his contract at N17 currently running until summer 28. Plumley told Football Insider, "You've seen reported figures that his salary is around £8 million a year, something like that. Wow. There are a couple of years on it to run. Also, what you don't often see is that a manager would get paid off that full amount of the contract. There's also likely a clause in the contract that says it can terminate at a certain point in time, depending on performance, and that will be a set fee that they'll agree on." Now, again, with a little bit of professional judgment, you know that might be something at around a year's salary or something like that, but it'll already be agreed. So if those figures are reported that he's on around £8 million and we have to take that with a pinch of salt, then you might suggest that a sacking would cost in the region of £8 million, something like that. I think he's obviously still under pressure, of course. They had a good result in the Champions League in midweek, but yeah, I think it's not often that you would get paid the full length of the contract. There's going to be some predetermined deals in there, and that's standard for a lot of these contracts nowadays. However, with a horror run of fixtures on the horizon, Tottenham play Man City at home, Man United away, Newcastle at home and Arsenal at home in the next 4, the situation could get worse before it gets better at Spurs, and fears are mounting they could yet get sucked into a relegation battle. The improved form of Nottingham Forest, West Ham and Leeds, the latter who play at Everton on Monday night, has seen that gap between Spurs and the bottom 3 close to just 8 points. In light of that, it's been speculated that former Barcelona coach Xavi Hernandez has made it clear his willingness to take charge of Spurs in the here and now and try and help resurrect the club's flagging fortunes. Having also been linked with Manchester United, Xavi appears ready to try his luck in the Premier League next, and he does have that sense about him that he's the next big overseas coach ready to move to England. Speaking to Football Insider, transfer journalist Pete O'Rourke certainly feels Xavi is a move that ticks plenty of boxes. Okay, here's my thoughts on all those stories today. The Robertson deal not being quite dead. This was actually mentioned last week that Liverpool would need to call Tsimikas before they would let this deal happen. But obviously Virgil van Dijk came out and said he doesn't want to lose Robertson. He doesn't want to lose his vice-captain. Robertson's the vice-captain of Liverpool. Apparently, I didn't see the game personally, but Robertson came on as a substitute against Bournemouth, a game that Liverpool actually lost, but Robertson was one of the better players on the park. It would be a big loss for Liverpool losing Robertson. The amount of money touted around 3 million, 5 million. Apparently we offered 3. Bit lowball, but hey, it is what it is. Or 5 million would Liverpool let him go for 5. His contract expires in the summer, of course. Look, I said at the time, I think this deal is a good one for Spurs. And I hope this one does get done. But Liverpool seemingly, for the moment, pulled the plug. But you never know what's going to happen in the final few days of the transfer window. If Roma can get a replacement in, it looks like they're trying to, and Tsimikas goes back to Liverpool, then perhaps that opens the door still for Robertson. So let's keep an eye on this one over the next few days. The goalkeeper interest, Mile Svilar. Really good goalkeeper, actually, when you look at all his stats. I would say this is definitely one for the summer. I'm not sure Spurs are going to be looking to do this in January. Only a week left of the window now, of course. I think they're going to be sticking with Vicario. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see Vicario go and leave Spurs in the summer. And then, of course, we would be on the lookout for a new number 1. So is Svilar going to still be on the list, or is he going to be snapped up by somebody else? Again, big summer coming up for Spurs, you think. We've got to make inroads and and get these sort of players in the next level. We need improvements all over the park, and if Vicario goes out, Svilar is definitely going to be of interest to Tottenham. And the final story today was, of course, the cost. We think it would cost Spurs to get rid of Thomas Frank about £8 million. I would say, it's a lot of money, but can they afford not to if the results continue to be as bad as they are and the performances seem to be as bad as they are? Imagine Spurs being a relegation battle. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we could be after February. That horrific run of fixtures I read out, we all know them. Can Spurs afford not to act? And acting too late could be disastrous. So I think Spurs, I've said it for weeks now, I'm fully in the Frank out camp, sadly. It just hasn't worked. I don't think it's ever going to work. I do feel sorry for him in some ways, but he's just not right for Spurs. I don't think he's ever going to be right for Spurs. And it does make you wonder sometimes, with the majority of the fan base calling for the manager out, and then the club is just, it's almost, is it arrogance sticking by Frank? I don't know. It's boggles the mind sometimes. But look, I've said it on various shows that it's good to see the club want to go in a different direction and just not change manager. But I think we can all see this is not working, and I'm not sure Frank can even win the fan base back now. I think he's gone past that point. So my thoughts, I think he does have to go, but doesn't look like he's going anywhere soon. But obviously tough run of fixtures coming up in February, but we just don't want to be in an even worse position by the end of February and then being too late to do anything about it. That's all I would say. But get down in the comments, let me know your thoughts on any of the stories today, and about Thomas Frank. Feel free to talk about Thomas Frank. Everybody talks about him every day. Go on X, everybody's talking about him, and a lot of interesting times ahead for Spurs, that's for sure. But get down in the comments, as I say, let me know your thoughts as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now. And as always, come on you Spurs.